Are you guys ready to talk about Hatchet? I don't know why it's so dark in here today. Oh, probably.
I actually have mine too.
Fun fact, he did not write My Side of the Mountain, which is what I thought we were reading when we first started.
Oh, yes, I do remember.
I need to reread that book because that's what I thought. And all through the book, I'm like, but when does he start living in a tree? And then it was like, we're halfway through, and I'm like, but when does the tree come into play? But
I haven't read that other book that you're talking about, so
don't
It's
worry.
like an older guy, isn't it?
What?
It's like an older guy. He has a dog too.
I don't know about that. It's been a long time since I read it, but I think the difference is, so in Hatchet, Brian gets stranded, right? Versus in My Side of the Mountain, I think he chooses to leave.
Yeah, and he like finds a dog or something.
He must have a pet of some sort. I don't know. Quick synopsis, or is that the right word? Synopsis?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Summary synopsis. So Brian, main guy, gets on a plane to go visit his dad, who's like doing some sort of work in the wilderness. And when the flight, I shouldn't laugh, when the flight goes off, the pilot, it's just him and the Brian and the pilot in this little charter plane. Pilot has a heart attack and dies. And the plane coasts for a while, and then Brian somehow lands it in a river or a lake, and then gets stranded there in the wilderness with not a whole lot. He really just had like the clothes on his back and a couple other things, and the hatchet his mom gave him right before he left, which was super clutch. Very came into handy. And so then the whole book's basically about him trying to survive in this really new environment. Boom. 30 seconds.
Good job.
that's good.
Okay, my first question about the book. We all read this as young people, right?
I did not.
I think we did, but I don't remember completely.
I
read
did.
Robinson Crusoe.
Okay, so some I did, Liz did, Andrea, you had to have. So the first time you read it, did you pick up that he was having a heart attack before they like told you?
No.
No.
I didn't this time until they said he's having
Well,
a heart
like
attack.
when they were going through it in the plane, I was like, oh, he's having a heart attack. And then I was like, why didn't I catch that? I mean, it makes sense, but I didn't catch it when I was younger. I was like, oh, well, that was weird.
I thought it was odd how he didn't try and turn the plane down. You know, he just kept going straight.
Brian?
Yeah,
Brian or
after the pilot died, I would have been like, let's go back to like civilization, you know, instead
Well,
of
when he
flying
lost-
off into the unknown.
He lost like the radio or something. I was like, why don't you just turn around and go back to the like where you at least have the radio?
Because he kept trying to call for help, right? And get anyone until
it got like spotty or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he tried to use it and it didn't work.
Yeah, but I would have flown back until you were in like, I don't know. I guess I probably would have died though real quick. So don't listen to me.
Kelly had a panic attack. Guy had a heart attack. Everyone's dead.
No, I would have seen the guy having a heart attack and I'd be like, no, I'm gonna fake sleep, and then my plane will crash, but I'll be asleep. So that would have been my.
What grade would you give it? Actually, I'll go first since I picked it. I think it's a really good book. I would give it probably a C+ for me as an adult right now. But I think for like, 14, 15, 16, or even 12, like 10+, I think it's a really great book. It's definitely written for that age group, I thought.
Yeah. I would totally agree. I thought if I were 7th grade, I would give it a B, but right now probably C-. I also did not like the ending. That's why I would give it right now. I would give it a C- because it was like he's trying to survive. Okay, he's safe. It just like ended so abruptly. I'm like, oh, okay, it's over.
I totally agree.
I'm opposite. As a kid, when I read this, I hated every minute of this book. Like,
Really?
I remember I did not enjoy it, and I didn't want to read it, and I
Why?
muddled through it. I don't know. It just seemed
Scary or?
no, it just seemed unrealistic. And now, as an adult, like, I realize we've now read 2 books about plane crashes and like Malaysia flight, whatever. And, before, when I was a kid, I was like, this is so stupid. There's no point in reading this. And I remember the school made us read it. And then they had somebody, I want to say like a survivalist, come speak to these children. And I don't know if the person, like, it happened to them, or they were just like, hey, here's a story. I'm a survivalist. Here's how you make fire in the woods. I don't know what the deal, but we had an assembly or something. And I was like, this is completely unrealistic. None of us are going to be dropping out of the sky in a plane by ourselves. Cause I'm like, I hated it. When I was a kid, I was like, oh, not Hatchet. And then as an adult, somebody was like, let's read Hatchet. And I was like, okay. And
But you
then
can't go against book club, right? Like if it's chosen.
right. And I didn't say anything. I was like, okay, I'll get through it. It's this big, like it won't be hard. Worst case scenario, I just quietly sit back, don't say anything. No one knows I didn't read it. But then I read it and I actually really enjoyed it. There's a lot that I guess I don't remember from being a kid. Maybe I spark noted it when I was a kid or didn't read it. I don't know. As an adult, I enjoyed Hatchet a lot more than I did when I was young. I don't know if it's because like I picked up on the heart attack,
That
or
was
like
more fun for you.
yeah, it was just way more fun. I was like, oh, here comes the moose. Better look out. I don't know. I guess I just got into it a little more. I don't know. I guess I give it like a B+. I thought it had a lot of good survival tips, as in like maybe don't do this.
Yeah.
Don't drink the lake water with the dead pilot in it.
Yeah, that freaked me out.
Yeah, that is the one thing I vividly remember from reading it in like middle school is like, and I would randomly think about it sometimes too, is like when he has that epiphany and he's like, I've been eating the fish that have been eating the pilot. Like I've been eating the pilot. And I swear to God, I've thought about that like once a year since middle school.
Liz is at work like,
It randomly pops into my head and I'm like, the fish.
you're like, it's in the fish. No, I guess I think about a lot, like, I don't know, even on Naked and Afraid, I'm like, oh, don't overload on a bunch of berries that you don't know what they are. Maybe just ration, have a few, not 37,
I think one of the parts I disliked the most, because like I really don't like bugs, but like constantly how like mosquitoes and like all these things were just attacking him. Like when like reading those paragraphs made my screen crawl for sure.
Yeah, I do not like bugs, so I was with you on that.
I was going to tell you about the author who actually had a really interesting life. He grew
Is
up.
he dead?
No, he's alive.
Oh. You said had. Like he's not having an interesting life anymore.
Touche. No, I think Gary Paulsen's still alive. But anyways, he was born in Minneapolis, but then his mom moved him to the Philippines, where he lived for a few years. I think because the dad was in the army. I'm not sure on that. Then they moved back to the United States because both his parents had alcohol issues. And then he ran away at 14 and worked in the carnival as a carny for a while. Yeah. And then ultimately he like did a bunch of random jobs and decided he wanted to then live in a cabin in northern Minnesota. And I think that's where he got a lot of his inspiration for his books.
So Brian isn't real, is he?
No.
I don't think I knew that when I read it.
I assumed it wasn't a true like person story, but maybe like a few like real life accidents or incidences mixed together to make a story, I guess.
That's what I thought too. I thought it was based like loosely off of an experience from his childhood, and it could be, but I didn't find anything that said that.
Crazy. Oh, does he have any like books?
What?
Does he have any books about the carnival? Like that sounds more fascinating.
So, I guess one of his most well-known things is that he did a big race in Alaska. Maybe it's called like, oh, I'm blanking on it. It starts with an I. With like, I think.
Iditarod?
Yeah. Yeah. So he did that twice, and then he wrote a book about that.
Okay.
A well-known thing. I don't know.
Andrea, why did you know the name of a big Alaskan race off the top of your head?
Because Clara did it.
Who did it?
Clara.
What?
Mm-hmm.
What do you have to do? We should do this.
I really have no idea how she did it or got involved in it, but she did it, and that's how I knew what it was.
Is this where you do like a dog sled?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So then he wrote 2 books about that, and then those I think are his most well-known books, other than Hatchet.
So are those more like, I don't know if you caught, but are they more like nonfiction? They're like a recount, or?
I have no idea. I don't think so. I think he just used his experience to write a book about that.
Okay.
But I don't think it's based on his experience.
Okay. Do you know if they're like adult reading level or like middle school reading level?
You know, I got kind of sidetracked with the whole carnival thing. I didn't look much into the book, bro.
What else do you know about carnivals?
I was like, somebody said something about carnivals, and now I'm over here.
My
Google race that happens with the carnivals.
I feel like all of our YouTube goes to, last time it went to clowns, now we're at carnivals.
I tried to find a picture of Gary Paulsen in a carnival, but I couldn't. So
You should message him. Ask him.
I should. I really want to send my book to him and see if he'll sign it.
He's probably listening to this. Gary Paulsen, send us a carnival picture.
And please sign my book.
Kelly.
Pay for shipping.
Kelly's like, I don't like.
I think you're really cool.
This is why we don't have friends other than each other.
Did you say how you felt about it?
No, Madeline skipped over me.
Sorry.
Okay, well, I was kind of like, let's skip Liz after last week's.
What?
What are you gonna rate it? What are you rating it?
For right.
What are you rating my book?
For my current age group, it's a C- because it's below my reading level. But for the story and for the first time when I was in middle school, it was definitely like a B+.
Brian doesn't like your answer.
I'm saying I wouldn't recommend it to other 30-year-olds. So
No.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's far below Liz's reading level.
We're too evolved for such books. Sorry, Gary.
As a spoiler alert, we sometime will read My Side of the Mountain in book club. So I'm happy to hear you guys kind of liked this one because you'll really like that one.
I'm just gonna pick Robinson Crusoe for my next book, so we're gonna be like survivalists.
Nick?
What?
Swiss Family Robinson after that.
We'll be able to survive anything. Like
The Count of Monte Cristo.
Book club is going to become like a cockroach. You just can't get rid of us.
Okay, no. We're going to read all these books and then we're going to be like, oh my God, we can survive anything. I can go 60 miles an hour on a plane cushion. Don't you worry. I read about this. And then some idiot's going to be like, hey, let's put these people on a freaking island and watch them survive all these things. And we're going to fail. Like day one, I'm crying and dying.
So
I believe Kelly crying. Maybe Courtney too. I don't know.
Courtney would just get frustrated. I feel like Courtney doesn't cry. She just gets mad.
True.
I know. Like I agree with you, Kelly. We'll have all the knowledge to survive, but no willpower or actual physical ability.
I'll be like, this sucks. I'm out.
So
Where's the helicopter?
I've applied for the Amazing Race 3 times now. So maybe next time I'll just be like, hey, forget Ross. We don't want to do it, but put book club on an island. See what happens. I thought it was good. You should read it.
It was good.
Between the ages of 10 and 16, you'll like it probably more.
I'll take you a day.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye.